Hello, and welcome to the Mindfit Golf Club and another episode of It's Tea Time with myself, Neville Gordon, and my very good friend, Tony Westwood.
Yeah, hello Neville. How are you doing today? Good?
Yeah, pretty good, Tony. Pretty good. And boy, have we had some interesting feedback over the last couple of days. Um, we left you with a challenge on the last episode when we take you through, we asked you to repeat level one and then go to level two. We gave you 3 balls to hit, one on the outside of the middle ball, one on the inside of the middle ball, and guess what? The middle ball. Now, I suppose in many respects, we don't expect anything actually, because this is your game. This is how you find it. This is your approach. And I think what's most interesting is that a lot of people were coming back to me and saying, well, I know it should be the middle ball that's easier, but I found it easier in either the outside ball or the inside ball. Now, the interesting thing is, they knew it should have been the easier ball to hit, but it wasn't. Now, there weren't many people that said this. The majority of people, I think you'll probably agree with me, Tony, nearly everybody came back. Probably about 90% of people came back and said the middle ball was a lot easier.
Absolutely, and it's interesting. I've done this drill now for many years with golfers of different ages and different abilities. And when I ask that question, so having now done level two, which is the easiest ball to hit, and everybody will say, "Well, it's just the middle one." I said, "Well, that's brilliant, isn't it?" And they go, "Well, why?" I said, "Well, when you're on the golf course, the only one you ever have to hit is the middle one." And they smile and they go, "Well, that's it, isn't it? It's having that." We ended, I think, at the end of the level two session. We talked about creating a knowing. This idea that we know what's going to happen. You know, we've all driven cars for years, haven't we? Yeah. And I don't think we go into the garage with a tape measure to make sure that the new car that we're buying is exactly the same size as the old car we just get rid of. Yet we know in general terms how far away the front bumper is when we go and park somewhere. We don't, because the car might be 6 inches longer, we don't drive into the wall or the garage door when we park it up at home. We know where the front of the car is, but we never measure exactly how far away it is, because we get this knowledge, this awareness, interestingly enough, about where things are around us. Well, why can't golf be any different, really? So it is that idea that yes, the middle one's the easiest one to hit, and that's the only one you're ever going to be asked to hit on the golf course. So make it that one, commit to that one, and swing with confidence, knowing that's going to happen. But the interesting thing is, for the occasional golfer who's come back to him and says, "Well, actually, I found the outside one similar to the middle one, or the inside one similar to the middle one," then I'd begin to question the distance they're actually standing away from the golf ball. So if they find that they can hit the middle one okay, but every now and then they actually hit the outside one really well, then that to me is suggesting that maybe they're standing a fraction too close to the ball when they address the ball anyway. And vice versa, if they find the middle one okay to hit and maybe they hit the inside one okay every now and then maybe those golfers are standing just that little bit too far away. So it helps us, we go back to that C word again, it helps us to begin to help them calibrate exactly where they need to be when they swing the club and hit the golf ball. But the great thing about these drills is it does create that freedom element we've talked about, where they just swing and they're discovering exactly what they need to do without thinking about how to actually do it, which is generally the opposite of what they have been doing to this point when they're playing the game of golf.
Exactly that. And this is the whole point about you learning about yourself. As you probably found out, level one was a relatively straightforward drill for a novice, but for someone who's been playing the game for a while, we've all been told, Tony and I have been seeing the messages in the chat and emails to us of that wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. But no, and it wasn't, because you've got into a habit, and all we're trying to do now is to explore a new habit, a new opportunity, give you the freedom of playing the game and enjoying the game.
Just on that note, Neville, what's really challenging for the established golfer is that they know the worst shot they could ever hit is missing the ball completely.
Yeah, of course. That's
So
right.
they don't want to have a fresh air shot because they consider themselves way beyond that now because they can hit the golf ball. So they have a mental challenge of, look, you're asking me to miss it? Really? Miss it? I don't want to do that because that would be terrible, but we're practicing here and we're raising awareness. So that's where the challenge really comes for the existing golfer.
And it reminded me of one of the very first times I went down the driving range and I did level 1 drill. And I had a little crowd around me. It was quite a busy range, so people were waiting to go, hoping that someone was going to get rid of their 50 balls very quickly so that they could grab their seat. And I didn't really notice that I was fairly close to the entrance. I was just, it's my practice. It's not theirs. I really don't give a damn what they think I'm doing. And this little lad came up to me and said, excuse me, mister. And I said, yes, son, what's up? And he said, why are you missing the ball every other time? Or I can't remember exactly what he said, but basically, why am I missing the ball more times than I'm hitting it? And I said, that's a really interesting question. I said, why do you think I'm doing that? And he said, well, it's a practice I've never seen. And I said, yeah. So what do you think? And he said, well, it looks like you're trying to find out where the ball is. And I said, exactly right. And he sort of went back and his dad was with him and he told this to his dad and his dad sort of just shrugged it off and thought, the guy's a nutcase. But the interesting thing is that little lad probably has taken that away and he'll think about, missing the ball deliberately, but as you say, the worst shot on the golf course for most of us is the fact that we take a swing, we miss it completely. I mean, I'm laughing because I can think of many times I've actually done that. So, and I can also remember a few very big championships that we've seen live on TV, where a particular golfer thought that the ball actually wasn't that deep in the water, and he thought he could hit the ball out of the water and ended up literally falling back into the water as well, having dropped another shot because he's taken a swing. So again, there's a method in the madness of what we're doing here. I suppose everyone else thought it was funny, but I don't think that particular golfer thought it was that funny. But anyway, let's move on. Because we promised you level 3. We're going to give you level 3. But what we wanted to do first was just a very simple recap of how to get to level 3. So level 1, Tony, you explain it far better than me. You're the golf pro in our organisation. So off you go.
So as we go through these stages, the important thing to remember is we've taken the time to kind of discuss mine and our experiences over how all of this begins to fit together. All we can implore that you do is you take the time to apply what we've done so you get the most out of it. Do it as nonchalantly, as relaxed as you possibly can, because that's how we want to be on the golf course anyway. So when you first go to the driving range, once we've explained level 3, then you spend less time at level 1 to almost no time at all. Then you'll go to level 2, and then we're going to explain what level 3 is in a few moments. So it's really simple. Level 1 golf ball on the carpet, on the grass, get set up to the golf ball, have one swing, make sure your feet stay in the same place, and it's the same for levels 1, 2, and 3. Your feet stay in the same place. Level 1, swing the club, miss the ball on the outside. back to the ball, swing the club, miss the ball on the inside, back to the ball, swing the club, hit the ball. I will do that a lot with new golfers initially to help them raise their awareness. With an established golfer, we'll only do that 3 or 4 times before we actually move them on to level 2. Okay, level 2 now we introduce 3 golf balls. So we want to, create some focus in terms of where the club is actually missing the ball. So we've got 3 golf balls set up on the carpet in front of us. Feet stay in the same place. Remember, you can use a club to reference where your feet need to be, just in case you're one of those golfers who hits it and tends to step away or move the feet around. And you want to have, I don't know, it's maybe a couple of inches to 3 inches gap between the middle ball, the outside, the middle ball, and the inside. We get set up to the middle ball. We swing back, we swing down, we hit the one on the outside, back to the middle ball, swing back, swing down, hit the one on the inside, back to the middle ball, swing back and hit it. It'll all be described in pictures coming up at the end of this video. So the end of level 2, level 3 will come at the end of this one. Once you've done those and you begin to question a little bit about what you have been doing, then we want to test out how much your awareness has been raised. How much focus have you actually got, so that when you then go to level 3, you're able just to swing the club freely and hit the middle ball. So here's level 3. You've still got 3 golf balls on the carpet or on the grass in front of you. The only thing that changes, the middle and the outside ball can be at a similar distance, but you don't really want too big a gap between the toe of the club. So you don't need too big a gap between the toe of the club and where the outside ball sits. Okay, now when we get set up to the inside ball, we need to get the hosel part, or as I call it, the ankle part of the golf club, that has to go through the gap. So you've got the middle ball set up right in the middle of the club face. You've got the outside ball just outside the toe of the club, and you've got the inside ball with enough gap so when you swing through the gap, you're not going to hit the one on the outside and you're not going to hit the one on the inside. So you've got a middle ball, smaller gap on the outside, bigger gap on the inside. All you then do is you get set up to the middle ball. And what we want to be able to do now is make a full free swing, and we're going to see if we can hit the middle ball without hitting either the outside or the inside. Now, what many golfers do, well, I won't tell you what many golfers do because they can come back and tell us, can't they? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
The key thing is to have the freedom to swing straight through the gap, just like it's a gate, to swing straight through the gap and hit the middle ball without touching either of the other 2 golf balls. So we've taken it from level 1. We've embraced randomness and chaos by saying, well, I can miss it here and I can miss it there. Now we've gone to level 2, where we want a little bit more focus in that randomness and chaos. So I can set up to the middle ball, middle hit the outside, middle hit the inside, then hit the middle. Now we're going to challenge ourselves to see how well we can balance. Have we learned exactly where that middle ball is, so we know we can swing through that gate and we can hit the middle one without touching either of the other 2 golf balls? And that is level 3 of our 3 awareness drills. It gives us far more focus. And when you can swing with that level of freedom, knowing, important word, knowing that you're only going to hit that middle golf ball, then you will begin to make bigger improvements in your golf game. Your ball striking will become better, distance will become far more consistent, and golf will become far more enjoyable because you'll hit the ball more out of that middle of the club face every single time. And that's what we're aiming for. How we manage to do it, I've got no idea. The club's traveling 30 odd feet, more than 30 odd feet through the air. At speeds faster you can drive your car in most places, and you manage to get the middle of the club back to that millimetre spot on the back of the ball and make it go straight. The fact that we're able to do it, for me, is fantastic in itself. And if we can do it with some level of regularity, then we're really developing the skills we need to become better golfers and enjoy it more.
Exactly. And this is the whole point about it. There are things that we really can't explain because we just don't know what's happening. And this is why we don't try and explain it. We just know that if you do certain things repetitively, like getting into your car and turning on the ignition without even looking at the dashboard or anything like that, you know instinctively where to put your key. I mean, these days it's easy. You just throw it near the glove box and press a button. Okay, so people are making it easier for you by taking out the repetitive nature. But it's they've done is replaced one repetitive nature with another one, and they call it making it easier. Well, what we're trying to do here, and our point is, we know this works. You're not a guinea pig. You're only your own guinea pig because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
But we've got so many testimonials. I mean, Tony, from before he met me, and certainly in the last 12 years, nearly 15 years now, that he and I have been working together. We got so many testimonials that they say, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. I didn't believe I could do that. And that is what we're trying to do. We want you to improve your expectations, to improve your belief through practice and doing it time and time again. And more importantly, having fun. So I'm going to ask Tony just to go through this last drill very carefully, okay? Because there's lots happening here that you're not going to be aware of until you actually do it. Tony mentioned going through the gate. There's another phrase that's been used, being on plane or in the plane. And all of this is actually helping you to calibrate to do just that and hit the ball far better just from these simple 3 routines than maybe you'll ever hit the ball ever again. And so this is why we're focusing on this, what we call the awareness drill, level 1, level 2, level 3. So Tony, over to you again. Just lead the audience through. I know we're going to give them the pictures. Just lead them through level 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when we do the next kind of recap, we'll kind of explain the kind of foundation behind it so people get the understanding. We don't want to give everything away too soon, purely and simply because we want them to have the experience, but we can begin to explain what it's like. So level 3, we ended level 2 with 3 golf balls on the carpet. Okay. Level 3, we've still got 3 golf balls on the carpet, but you've got the ball set up in the middle of the club face. So you can see, if I get that shining on the club face there, you've got the ball set up in the middle of the club face. You've got another ball set up just outside the toe of the club. When I do it, I kind of give the golfer about a ½ inch, maybe just over a centimetre gap between the toe of the club and the ball. Okay. We've then got another golf ball set up on the inside. Now, because of this hosel area where the shaft goes into the head, we need a bigger gap between the inside ball and the middle because we need to get this through the space. So you've now got 3 golf balls set up, 1 in the middle, 1 to the outside and 1 to the inside. All we'd like you to do is make a full swing, a nice full free swing, and see if you can hit the middle ball without touching either of the other 2 golf balls. Now, if you've practiced in the way we've explained across the first 2 drills, you should find that you can hit the middle ball without touching the other 2. If you do happen to hit either of the other 2 golf balls, remember that T word, tendency. Then your tendency is that the club will generally want to come back. If you hit the middle and the outside, it wants to come back too far that way. If you hit the middle and the inside, it wants to come a bit too far this way. So we want to create the idea of balance so you can clearly swing through the gate that's formed by the outside and the inside ball and hit the middle one without touching either of the other 2. With freedom, with commitment, with trust that you can actually do it. We know that you can actually do it. We want to help you realize that you can do it as well. And it's interesting that can-do slogan behind you there, Neville. Can-do people are great performers is absolutely great. We know they can do it, but there's no point in us knowing they can do it. We've got to help them understand that they can do it too.
Absolutely. And whilst Tony saying when he's with a golfer, he normally gives them about a half inch, like a centimetre on one side and a bit more on the hosel side, because as you've seen at the golf club, it's flat at that end, but it actually swings back at that end. So there's obvious that on the inside ball, you need to give it a little bit more latitude. Now, we're not going to be there when you practice. So give yourself a break. Don't work to fine margins either side. Work to a little wider margin. Give yourself an inch, inch and a half, more if you want it, okay? Because that will just give you the comfort of just hitting the one ball. And then when you've hit 4 or 5 shots and you feel confident, move the balls in. Start to calibrate yourself, okay? Everything we're doing, we're just giving you the parameters. But we haven't told you the extent of the parameters. That's up to you. And it's really what you want to challenge yourself. So if you want to have a little bit of fun to start with, have a couple of inches either side. Because frankly, if you then hit one of those other balls, guess what? You've got something seriously wrong. But in all due seriousness, you can then say, okay, I'm going to challenge myself a little bit now. This is your game, Doesn't matter who's looking on. You're on the driving range. You're on the practice tee. Doesn't matter who's looking on. You can then say, I'm going to bring that ball in just a little bit more. And I'm going to bring that one in just a little bit more. And guess what? You're still only hitting one ball. And that's the beauty of it. You're setting up just to hit one ball. And then once you get more practiced at this, guess how many balls you're going to be hitting for every shot on the course. There's only one ball. You're not going to set up 3 balls. There's only one ball you got to hit. So you've only got to focus on one. And that's what we're building all this up to. As they say, the game of golf is really quite simple, can all be explained by the size of a dimple. But of course, most golfers have no idea how big a dimple is. And to be honest with you, it wasn't until Tony measured it that I knew how big a dimple was. And to be honest with you, it didn't make a blind bit of difference to the fact of me playing golf. It just meant I had a lot more knowledge that was pretty useless. And what we're doing on here is giving you not just knowledge, we're giving you practice that makes your game far more enjoyable. You'll have far more fun, and you will actually enjoy going on the driving range. Trust me, people come away with smiles knowing that they've had 100% success. And how many times can you say that in anything you're doing? Whether you're at work or socially or even on the golf course, to go away with 100% success is pretty astonishing. And that's what we're trying to do. We're just going to try to build your confidence. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Anything you want to say before we go? Because this is the final session, guys.
Yeah, not really. The big thing is go and have fun doing it. That's what it's all about. It's not about trying to get it right straight away. It's realizing that it's okay to make a mistake, to work out exactly where we need to do. With anything that we've ever done, if we've done it for the first time, we're not perfect at it, but eventually we get better through repetition. And this is about giving those repetitions that little bit more focus so we get better at actually doing them over time. When I first picked up a golf club when I was 4 years old, the first thing is I can't really remember it. The golf club I had was much too big, but I enjoyed the feeling of swinging this stick and hitting something. Now, that was born out now into a career that spanned almost 40 years. And certainly the last 20 years have been far more exciting because I've been obsessed with this idea of how can we help golfers to improve on their terms, not on ours, because it's their game of golf. It's not my game of golf. I can do it. I can quite happily demonstrate all of these drills and more. we can take these awareness drills up extra levels. We're sharing level 1, 2, and 3. I don't know how many different levels I've created through the drills that I do for myself. And I don't think the golfers would be too happy if we were filming this in 5 years' time and right, we're at level awareness now, 530.
No, I think they might get a little bit fed up with us.
Because why would we do it? You know, I've got a lot out of these drills. I've only started doing these drills, as I said, when I was living in Portugal, some maybe 14 or 15 years ago now. And I still do these drills because I want to get better. And every time you do them, you're adding another layer, another level of skill to what you're able to do. And then I've challenged myself over finer and finer margins. And that's all we're being asked to do, is challenge ourselves all the time. We get better because we change it. We go up a level. We do something a little bit different. So challenge yourself. Do something that little bit different. Because keep doing the same thing. I think was there a guy called Einstein said something about you keep doing the same thing over and over again. He called it kind of something like insanity.
Yep.
So maybe we challenge ourselves to do something that little bit different all the time. Because once we can do something, let's do it a little bit more. Let's try it a little bit slightly differently. And that's all we've done within the whole essence of MindFit Golf and MindFit Sports, and where we are now with MindFit Golf Club, is this idea that to get the results we want, maybe we've got to do it slightly differently. And that's got to be key.
Absolutely. It's absolutely got to be key. And we set you a little challenge last time when it was, which was the easiest ball to hit? And I think the majority of people will now agree, the middle one. Well, that's the good news, because that's the only one you're going to be asked to hit on the golf course. So there's a result in itself. We're going to give you a little challenge now. And it's a simple challenge, but it's something to you to think on. Now, you might have to go and look.
I'm not quite sure what's happened to Neville there. Are we still there?
Yeah, I am. Sorry, it just blipped out. all done for effect, Tony, as you well know. But anyway, we're going to set you a little challenge, okay? And it might mean you're going to have to go back and look at some of the majors. You've seen one of the recent majors that kicked off the major season. We had the Masters. Well, we got some more majors coming up. You might have to wait until those. But actually, if you've got Sky Sports, or you watch golf on the web or what have you, you'll see lots of this happening. The question is quite simple, and we'd like you to put it in the chat, in the response, give us a bit of feedback. Why do all the pros go to the practice range before and after every day of the tournament? Just why? It's as simple as that. So leaving it on that note, it's the end of it's tea time. It is our last awareness drill, level 3. You're not going to have 256 because you don't need them. That's the whole point. You can create your own after this. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Have a great day, everybody.
Cheerio, everybody.